Hello students, welcome back. In second part of reciprocating pump, in this slide we will discuss work done by double acting reciprocating pump. In last slide we had discussed what is double acting pump. So first we need to revise that what is double acting pump. So this is the line diagram of double acting pump, in which you can see there are two suction pipes and two delivery pipes. This one and two delivery pipe, one and two suction pipe. Because why we need two suction and delivery pipe? Because I had discussed earlier that in case of double acting pump there are two suction stroke and two delivery stroke in complete revolution of crank, which is theta is equal to 0 degree to theta is equal to 360 degree. That's why we require two suction pipes and two delivery pipe with their suction and delivery valve. When there is a suction stroke on one side of the piston, this is the piston. When crank is rotating, theta is equal to 0 degree to 180 degree, piston moves from left to right. In this part there is a suction stroke, whereas from another side of the piston delivery stroke takes place. So at the same time suction and delivery both strokes takes place in double acting reciprocating pump. And when crank rotates, theta is equal to 180 degree to theta is equal to 360 degree, piston moves from its right position to its left position. So at that time suction takes place from the right side of the piston, whereas delivery takes place from the left side of the piston. So suction and delivery stroke, both strokes so the reciprocating pump, double acting reciprocating pump takes both of its strokes at the same time, suction and delivery stroke, both strokes at the same time. So it is mentioned here that in case of double acting pump, the water is acting on both sides of the piston, so two suction pipes and two delivery pipes are required. I hope that it is clear to all of you that why we need two suction pipe and two delivery pipe, because both suction and delivery strokes takes place at the same time. When there is suction at one side of the piston, delivery is taking place on another side of the piston. So for one complete revolution of the crank there are two delivery stroke and water is delivered through the pipe in this delivery stroke. So you can say that during the one complete revolution of the crank there are two suction stroke and two delivery stroke, whereas in single acting reciprocating pump during the complete revolution of the crank only one suction and delivery stroke takes place. Now we will calculate the discharge, work done and power required to drive a double acting reciprocating pump. If capital D is equal to diameter of the piston, small d is equal to diameter of piston rod. So area on one side of the piston, you can see area at one side of the piston. This side area is equal to pi by 4 capital D square, but at that side of the piston there is this piston rod whose diameter is a small d. So we need to subtract the diameter of this piston rod from the diameter of the one side of the diameter. We need to subtract the area of this piston rod from the area of the piston at this side. So if area of one side of the piston is pi by 4 d square, so area at another side of the piston is pi by 4 capital D square minus small d square, where small d is equal to diameter of this piston rod. So we need to subtract the area of this piston rod from the area of the piston. So we had mentioned capital A is the area at one side of the piston where there is no piston rod, and A1 is the area of another side of the piston where there is a piston rod with diameter small d. Volume of water delivered in one complete revolution of crank is equal to area at one side of the piston into stroke length is capital L, plus area at another side of the piston plus stroke length is same, which is capital L. So volume of water delivered in one complete revolution of crank is AL plus A1 into L, where A is equal to pi by 4 d square and A1 is equal to pi by 4 capital D square minus small d square into L. So discharge of pump per second is equal to volume of water delivered in one complete revolution of crank into number of revolution per second. Number of revolution per second is n by 60. N is the rotation of crank in RPM. So number of revolution per second is equal to n by 60. So discharge of pump per second is pi by 4 capital D square plus pi by 4 capital D square minus small d square into stroke length into n by 60. If diameter of piston rod small d is considered very small, in that case Q is equal to, in last slide it was calculated, Q is equal to discharge pi by 4 d square plus pi by 4 capital D square minus small d square L into n by 60. If d is very small, we had considered small d is equal to 0. In that condition, Q is equal to pi by 4 capital D square plus pi by 4 capital D square into L into n by 60, which that is 2 A L n by 60. Area A is equal to pi by 4 D square. So discharge is equal to 2 A L n by 60, and in our last lecture we had calculated discharge through single acting reciprocating pump, which was ALN by 60, and discharge through double acting pump is 2 ALN by 60, which is twice of this single acting reciprocating pump. Work done per second is equal to weight of water delivered into total height. Total height you all know, that is static head, which is HS plus HT. Weight of water we can calculate it with the help of rho GQ. Q we know, that is 2 ALN by 60. Rho is the density of the fluid. So work done per second is equal to 2 rho G ALN by 60 into HS plus HT. So work done per second is equal to power required to drive the double acting reciprocating pump, but if we require the power in kilowatt, we will divide this work done per second by 1000. So this is the power required to drive the double acting reciprocating pump. Now we will calculate slip of reciprocating pump. So first we will discuss what is the slip. A slip of the pump is defined as the difference between the theoretical discharge and actual discharge of the pump. Difference between theoretical and actual discharge of the pump is called slip. So in practically actual discharge of pump is less than the theoretical discharge due to some leakage inside the pump. So difference of the theoretical discharge and actual discharge is known as slip, which is Q theoretical minus Q actual. If we need to calculate the percentage slip, that is Q theoretical minus Q actual divided by Q theoretical into 100. So we can calculate this. If we know the value of theoretical discharge and actual discharge, we can calculate the percentage slip. We can write it here as 1 minus Q actual divided by Q theoretical into 100. So the ratio of Q actual and Q theoretical is CD, which is coefficient of discharge. So we can write it over here that slip is equal to 1 minus CD into 100, whereas CD is equal to Q actual upon Q theoretical. So slip of the reciprocating pump is 1 minus CD into 100. This is the slip. What will happen if in any case in any reciprocating pump value of Q actual is greater than value of Q theoretical? because in ideal condition we considered that theoretical discharge is greater than the actual discharge because of some losses, some leakage inside the pump. But if in any case, if in any rare case actual value of actual discharge is greater than theoretical discharge, then what will happen in slip? In that condition, that slip is called your negative slip. Slip is the difference between theoretical discharge and actual discharge, but if in a rare case actual discharge is greater than the theoretical discharge, then the slip is called negative slip of reciprocating pump. When it happens, what is the condition? Negative slip occurs when delivery pipe is short, suction pipe is long, or when the pump is running at very high speed. In that condition, Q actual become greater than Q theoretical. So this is the condition of negative slip. That's all for today's lecture. In next lecture, we will discuss some numerical problem on reciprocating pump. Thank you.